pretty much 9 out of 10 PAM vendors do a pretty good job of doing shell and RDP brokering. Where they fall down, or where a lot of those PAM vendors lack, is being able to support Web UIs. Why is that important? So if you have things like Palo Alto's F5 big IP load balancers, VMware vCenter deployments, Aruba access points, logarithm SIMs, Splunk, insert any vendor that has a web user interface for admin configurations, Lilo cards, DRAC cards, etc. Those also need to be protected using a privileged access management system. Those are some pretty high value targets from a breach perspective, especially the VMware vCenter. The 9 out of 10 of the PAM vendors that are in the market today, again, don't support Web UIs. The ones that do have the methodology that they use is typically creating a web connector tool where it's up to the client to build their own web connector for, say, like a Palo Alto web interface. What that tool does is have you click on the area to post a username, area to post the credentials, so post fields, if you will, and then the submit button or login button. The problem with that methodology is, say you created that web connector using that vendor's tool for Palo Alto 8.0, and then Palo Alto does a good job at updating their user experience and changes their web interface just enough to break the connector that you just built on when you do a code update to 8.1. Then you got to go out and build that connector again yourself. That methodology, from our perspective, is a failed methodology. Creates a pretty heavy burden on the client to configure those web user interfaces if that PAM vendor even supports Web UIs. So our methodology is we actually constantly interrogate the web interface. We build a connector one time for, say, Palo Alto. We build it. It takes about 2 days for us to build a connector for any specific Web UI. And then once we build that connector, we automatically continuously interrogate the interface, the actual Palo Alto web interface, when you build a connection in our tool, and we dynamically update the metadata that we use for that web connector. Basically getting feedback from the web interface itself to make sure that the post fields and all of the correct coordinates and so on are updated in that metadata. With that methodology, we can dynamically, automatically update web connectors, which means we can support pretty much any web interface, any web interface written in Angular, Java, JSP, JavaScript, .NET, pretty much anything not written in Shockwave. So what that gets you is obviously a very much more secure, fully robust capability, not only to support shell and RDP connections, so connections to your CLIs for routers, switches, firewall servers, and Linux servers and so on, and RDP connections to Windows servers, but also connect to those VMware vCenter connections and all those other Web UIs that you need to support as well.